So a lot of people are calling the 2024 NBA draft the worst of all time. People are calling it the worst of all time. I don't think it's going to be that because the 2000 draft exists. But one draft that's very, very comparable to it is the 2013 NBA draft. And the 2013 NBA draft is one where we thought it was bad at the time. It ended up being bad, but there were two guys in Rudy Gobert and Giannis Antetokounmpo who were taken late in that draft who ended up being all-star or superstars, arguably best player in the world in Giannis and a unbelievable player in Rudy Gobert, one of the best defenders ever. That can happen in any year's draft. You never know, especially when it comes to overseas prospects. You never know who's going to pan out. You never know which ones are going to be good. Like again, I'll talk about it in a video a little bit later. We talk about Risacher and Sarr like they're the two best players in the draft. Last summer when Risacher and Sarr played for the French national team under 19s, their best player by a mile, Melvin Ajinka, is projected to be a late second round pick. So like, you just never know how teams are going to pan out. In this video, we're going to compare the first 14 picks. We're going to compare the lottery, and I'm going to match it up with my mock draft. And I'm going to be saying which of these players that I think were better and whether or not this year's draft is a better draft than the 2013 draft. So number one pick is Anthony Bennett versus Alex Sarr. Anthony Bennett is the worst number one pick of all time. He was projected to be a sure thing in the NBA. The problem is that the second he set foot in the NBA, he showed up out of shape, and he actually wasn't as good as he thought he was. And what actually happened was he just didn't know how to deal with not being the best player. He was the best player when he was in college at UNLV. He was one of the best players in high school, and he was a guy who could do a bit of everything. He was a big 6'8", power forward, small forward hybrid who could shoot the ball a little bit, play defense, could score inside, could score outside. He looked the real deal. But then as soon as he faced better players than him, he just became a shell of himself and never recovered. The worst number one pick of all time. Alex Sarr, I don't think Alex Sarr is great. I think he's fine. I think he's a perfectly fine player. I think he's going to be athletic. He has a higher ceiling than a lot of people. I think he's going to be one of the weaker number one overall picks. And probably the weakest number one overall pick we've seen since probably Bennett himself. Fultz. Since Fultz. I'm going to say, without question, I don't know why I'm confused, without question, 2024 wins 1-0 to 2024 versus 2013. The second pick, Victor Oladipo versus Zachary Risacher. Victor Oladipo was a 6'4" two guard who had shades of Dwayne Wade. He was going number 2 no matter what in this draft. The way the draft was, it was expected. No one thought Bennett was going number 1, but people thought Leonard and Noel were going number 1. And I'm not going to lie, if Nerlens Noel was in this draft and he hadn't tore his ACL, Nerlens Noel probably does go number 1. Either way, Oladipo versus Zachary Risacher. Risacher is a 6'8", 6'9" wing who can shoot the ball a little bit, will play defense, and will just be that prototypical NBA wing. I don't think that Risacher hits the ceiling that Victor Oladipo did. Hits the peak, but I do think he has a longer career because, let's be real, Victor Oladipo's peak was 2.5 years. He wasn't the best before that. He was alright as a rookie, and he definitely wasn't the best after that. So I'm going to give this to Victor Oladipo. All NBA player, 1-all, 2013 versus 2024. Projected third pick, according to my draft, I had Donovan Clingan going number 3 versus Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr. was a really underrated player. Won a championship with the Warriors, a perfect glue guy, got a max for some reason from Washington because they just didn't want to let him leave when he was never worth the max. He was a good player. He was a damn good player. And for that reason, I think that taking him a 3 in that draft wasn't a bad one. But then we're looking at Donovan Clingan. Donovan Clingan is probably going to be a backup big. He's going to be a backup big for quite a bit of his career. So I think, I'm going to go with 2013 again. I think that if Donovan Clingan has an Otto Porter type career, if he gets a max contract and has a long enough career and wins a championship as a contributing player, if he ends up doing that, then I think his career will be a success out of this draft. I think Otto Porter, who did that, I think it's not likely that Clingan has a career that matches Otto Porter. I'm going to go 2-1 to 2013 versus Clingan. Number 4, I had Nikola Topic going to the San Antonio Spurs. I think that he's a big guard who can pass the ball. And number 4 in the 2013 draft was Cody Zeller. Look, Cody Zeller has been a fine backup big for his career. But if you remember how they talked about Cody Zeller, when he was coming out of Indiana, it was this is this athletic freak power forward. Man, he's a backup center who is more I was like, he's probably more known for just how when his hairline went than he is for anything he's done on the basketball court. Look, he was the best of the Zellers. If that means anything, he was better than Tyler Zeller and he was better than Luke Zeller. He was the best of the Zellers, but he still wasn't very good. And I don't see a scenario where Nikola Topic is worse than Cody Zeller. Like, he wasn't very good. He really wasn't. And I remember looking at this draft, and I remember even before it being like, I watched a lot of college basketball here, and I'm like, Mason Plumlee is better than Cody Zeller. That was like my thing. I was like, when Mason Plumlee was at Duke, I was like, he's better than Cody Zeller. And Mason Plumlee went so low in this draft. But Cody Zeller at 4, it is 2-all right now. There's almost no way Topic is worse than Zeller. And number 5, there's Alex Len versus Matas Buzelis. I had Matas Buzelis here. Alex Len was a solid enough big, like not, again, the worst player in the world. Like, he's been a decent backup big. I think he might be still in the league, but he's just been a backup big from the day he set foot in the league. Like, he's currently playing with the Kings. He's been fine. He has been fine. He has been in the league for 11 years. He's been fine. Absolutely fine. That's the only way to describe it. Look, Nerlens Noel was 6, and it was expected to be between Nerlens Noel 1 or Alex Len, one of those guys for 1. If Nerlens Noel wasn't injured, he was the guaranteed first pick. Look, Alex Len was better than Nerlens Noel, probably, for his career. Not as high a peak, but he's kind of done the same thing. Matas Buzelis is a higher upside. Definitely does. All Matas Buzelis has to do is be in the league for 11 years. Like, he's never, like, I'm looking through this right now for Alex Len. He's never been on a good team. Like, genuinely, he has never been on a good team in his entire career, other than the Kings recently, where he's been a backup. He's never been on a great team. He's never been on a team that's won a playoff series. So, Matas Buzelis just being there for 11 years puts him ahead. And I think Matas Buzelis probably is going to, I think Matas Buzelis, yeah. Let me give it to Matas Buzelis. Let's go 3-2 for the year of 2024. Then we've got Ron Holland versus Nerlens Noel. If we're judging based on what they were thought of at draft time, Nerlens Noel has to win that. Like, Nerlens Noel was like a surefire number 1 overall pick. They literally thought Noel was like the only like player in that draft that was worth the number 1 overall pick. They thought he had superstar potential. Like, when the Pelicans, obviously they traded him in the Drew Holiday trade, but when the Pelicans drafted him, everyone's like, oh my god, Nerlens Noel and AD, when they're back, it's going to be a block party. But he didn't pan out at all. Then you've got Ron Holland, who hasn't looked great in the G League, who I have mocked at 6. Didn't look great in the G League, but he's decent enough. Like, he's not small. He's athletic. He can play defense. And I have him going to the Hornets purely because I think Stefan Castle has refused to work out for the Hornets. So I think that Ron Holland and Nerlens Noel also got offered a bag from Dallas. Will Ron Holland be better than Nerlens Noel was? Like, will he play 10 years in the league? Possibly. I'm gonna go Nerlens Noel. I'm giving 2013 that spot. I think Nerlens Noel was good enough at Dallas. I think Nerlens Noel was good enough to start his career. And I also am going to give Nerlens Noel a little bit of like the benefit of the doubt because he was ultra hyped coming into the league. I'm going to give Nerlens Noel that spot over Ron Holland to make it 3-0. Then there's the 7th pick, and I have Stefan Castle going to Portland, even though he's not working out for Portland. I think he could slip, but I'm going to have him right now going to Portland. I had him in my mock draft before that, so I have him there. Ben McLemore was a confidence player who lost his confidence early in his career. He was expected to go number 1 in this draft, and he fell to number 7. People thought it was a steal. At times, he was a shooter who couldn't shoot. He was a 3-and-no-D guy for a lot of his career. People overrated his athleticism. People thought he was going to be like an early days Ray Allen. He was really hyped coming into the league. But I think at 7, if he's matched up to Stefan Castle is going to give you defense. Stefan Castle is going to be a big guard who can play and make a little bit. Stefan Castle is going to be a better player than Ben McLemore was. He almost certainly is going to be. So I'm going to go 4-3 to 2024 with Stefan Castle beating out Ben McLemore. At number 8, I have Reed Sheppard, who could honestly go way higher, but I've got Reed Sheppard at number 8 going to the San Antonio Spurs, and he's matching up to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The ceiling for Reed Sheppard is probably KCP. Like, that is almost like a ceiling for Reed Sheppard. KCP is a 2-time champion, a plug-and-play player who will fit in with any good team. And if Reed Sheppard, what he projects to be at his best is a plug-and-play player who plays winning basketball and will help any team. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope ties this up. It is 4 each. I don't think Reed Sheppard is going to be as good as KCP. I just don't. KCP is elite. That is the number 9, where we have got. I have put Collier Ware going to Memphis versus Trey Burke going to Minnesota. And then obviously he went to Utah. He was traded there because he was part. I think he was part of the Shabazz Muhammad trade. But Collier Ware, I just have him there because I just think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to draft a center no matter what. And Zach Edey could be in there as well. But Collier Ware is a guy that, if everything goes well for Collier Ware, he is better than Alex Sarr. He is the same size as Alex Sarr. He's equally as athletic as Alex Sarr. He's a better shooter than Alex Sarr. He's got better hands than Alex Sarr. He doesn't have the motor of Alex Sarr. So it's very hard to see how he goes. He could be really good or really bad in the NBA. Like, there's no guarantee he's not Skal Labissiere. But at the same time, I think it's more likely that he's better than what Trey Burke was. Trey Burke had some okay years as a backup point guard. But I think it's more likely that Collier Ware at 9 is going to be a better NBA player than Trey Burke. Trey Burke was just a 6-foot-tall point guard who was drafted right before point guards started getting taller. And number 10 in the 2013 draft was CJ McCollum. And surprisingly enough, in my mock draft, I had a number 10 player who is quite similar to a CJ McCollum. I've got Rob Dillingham. Undersized scoring guards. And I actually think Rob Dillingham's going to have a better start to his career than CJ McCollum did. McCollum did nothing in his first year. He did nothing in his second year. And as like a 4-year guy at Lehigh, not doing anything for 2 years, he looked like a bust. He looked like an absolute bust in 2013. But he ended up stepping up at the end of, I think it was the end of the 2014-15 season, when the Portland Trailblazers players started. A few of them got injured. He ended the season quite well that year. And then I remember the following year was when they lost every player in their starting 5 except for Dame, and CJ McCollum was most improved player. CJ McCollum is likely a better player. He's likely going to have a better career than Rob Dillingham's going to have. Never an all-star, but Rob Dillingham is smaller than McCollum. He's skinnier than McCollum, and I'm not sure he scores at the rate of CJ McCollum. If he's going to be one of those like almost star players for almost his entire career, I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to average 20. I don't think he's going to be as good as McCollum. No, it's going to go to CJ McCollum. It's going to go to CJ McCollum, and we're 5-all. This is so close. We are at 5 each. And then we've got the fakest rookie of the year of all time, Michael Carter-Williams, and I have Isaiah Collier going 11 to Chicago. I know Chicago have other players, but Chicago are dumb with everything they do. Like, they've got other guys in that position. Chicago are just dumb. But with Michael Carter-Williams, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you have to give this to MCW because of his rookie year. Man, he had so many opportunities. He shot like 20% from jump shots. He was not good his rookie year. His team was trying to lose, and they literally let him do whatever he wanted to build up his trade value so they could trade him. So, Isaiah Collier, is he going to be a backup? Is he going to be better than Michael Carter-Williams? I don't know. I don't love Isaiah Collier, but he was great in high school. He wasn't great at USC. Am I going to go 6'5" to 2013 with Michael Carter-Williams? I think Michael Carter-Williams sucked. I never thought he was good. No, Isaiah Collier over Michael Carter-Williams. 6'5" to 2024. This guy had the fakest NBA career of all time. He sucked. And just kept getting signed because the Sixers let him do whatever the hell he wanted in his rookie year. MCW sucked. I don't know if Isaiah Collier is going to be good. I don't think he's going to be that good. But Michael Carter-Williams sucked. So it's 6'5" to 2024. Then we have got at number 12, Steven Adams versus Cody Williams. Cody Williams could be pretty good. Both Thunder picks. Cody Williams, I think, genuinely could be good. Playing with his brother could help him. He's going to be a good defender. He's got length. He probably will develop a jump shot. He doesn't look like he's a bad shooter. He's obviously more hyped at the time of the draft than his brother, even though I have them both going at the same position. I think he could be really good. I genuinely think he'd be really good, but Steven Adams is brilliant. Like, absolutely brilliant. Steven Adams is one of the best offensive rebounders in the last 20 years. He's an enforcer. He was such a big loss for the Memphis Grizzlies when he got injured. He has been not even defensive anchor, just an anchor in the center position for so many teams. The way he rebounds, the energy he brings. I'm not, as much as I like Cody Williams, this has to go 6-all. It has to go 6-all. Like, Steven Adams, without question. Like, if Cody Williams has as effective career as Steven Adams did, as a good starter for a lot of good teams and being like a reason why they're winning, then fair play to him. But I think Steven Adams above Cody Williams. At 13, I've got Tajon Salaün versus Kelly Olynyk. And this is pure potential versus solid backup. Like, I'm a Miami Heat fan, man. Kelly Olynyk was good for us in the bubble. Kelly Olynyk was good for the Celtics at times. He was not a bad pick at 13. You kind of knew he was going to give you something. Like, you knew he was going to give you quite a bit when he came into the league. Like, he was already almost ready. Like, he came from Gonzaga as a junior. He was really good in college, and people knew he was going to be nice. Tajon Salaün could be the best of all the French players. He honestly could be. He could be better than Risacher. He could be better than Alex Sarr. He has that type of upside. He looks like he could be the best shooter of them all. Like, again, Melvin Ajinka also could be the best of all the French players. That's a different story. But Tajon Salaün versus Kelly Olynyk, it's like, how much do I believe in Tajon Salaün's potential? Because this could be the one I'm really wrong on. I'm going to give it to 2024. Like, if he could end up being worse than Kelly Olynyk or way better than Kelly Olynyk. There's no middle ground there. Then we have got number 14, the last one, Shabazz Muhammad versus Dalton Knecht going 14 at the end of the lottery. Shabazz Muhammad is one of the craziest stories in basketball. The man lied about his age. Literally, like, I'm pretty sure his dad, like, lied about his age so he would, like, dominate growing up. And he was really good at UCLA. He still went 14 because he was expected to be number 1 pick in this draft. And they found out he actually lied about his age. So he dropped to number 14 because he was a year older than he was, which is kind of mad. But I will say that 14 for Shabazz Muhammad, as decent as he was through about 4 years, he was okay. Dalton Knecht is almost certainly going to be better than Shabazz Muhammad. Dalton Knecht is going to score. He's going to score. He's going to be a 4-year guy. And how long did Muhammad last? 5 years in the league? He lasted till 2018 in the league. So he lasted 5 years. And do I think Dalton Knecht's going to last more than 5 years? Yeah. Even though, like, Muhammad did have one very good year at Minnesota. It was on a terrible Minnesota team. Dalton Knecht wins this one. 2024 wins for the lottery 8-6. However, we got one more pick. You've got Giannis, then you've got Rudy Gobert. But at the same time, if you look at between Giannis and Rudy Gobert, the players are Nogueira, Schroeder's pretty good, Shane Larkin, while an absolute baller over in Europe, did nothing in the NBA. Sergei Karasev, did he ever barely play in the NBA? Tony Snell, more known for his meme than his playing. Gorgie Jang, backup. Mason Plumlee, backup. Solomon Hill, more known for taking out LeBron than anything else. Tim Hardaway Jr., not a bad 6th man. Reggie Bullock, as soon as he became known as Reggie Bullock, he forgot how to shoot. Andre Roberson never knew how to shoot. And then there's a lot of guys who never played in the NBA the rest of this draft. So we're just looking at the lottery. I think as far as lotteries are concerned, 2024 slightly above 2013. Both of these clear 2000s, but I put it slightly above 2013.